Greetings, fellow learners. Welcome to IziCodeCraft. Let's turn our experiences into lessons. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the journey. Welcome to a new episode. In the last episode, we went through the motivation and mindset lesson in the Odin Project. The assignments were more about watching TED Talks and to read an article, so I went through that behind the scenes, and now we are here for the next lesson. The lesson of today is asking for help. Introduction. Along your programming journey, you will inevitably need to ask questions in an online coding community like ours, or in conversations with your colleagues. While asking questions may seem rather simple, in a programming environment it is essential to ask well-formed questions with as much context as needed so you can get the most out of asking for help. In essence, je help others help you. This lesson will provide you with the tools to effectively ask questions in communities such as our Discord chat, Stack Overflow, and in the workplace. Lesson Overview. This section contains a general overview of topics that you will learn in this lesson. Explain techniques for asking programming questions. Explain and avoid qualities of your badge questions. Ask effective and well-formed questions. Tips for getting the best help possible. Always provide your code and the surrounding context. When asking a question, it is essential to provide your code, error message, terminal command, server output, etc. You should provide as much context as possible and zero in on the specific problem, such as pointing people to a specific function or line number in your code. Providing this relevant information makes it easy for others to help you. If your question does not provide any code or other relevant information, it will be difficult for others to help you. In order to fully understand your question, there will be a lot of unnecessary back and forth conversation. This can be discouraging for you because any answers with incomplete information will not solve your problem. This process can be frustrating for those helping because the meaning of your original question changes as you add more context to it. If you truly want to ask a conceptual question, you should indicate this as part of your question. From personal experience, that's the most common thing to see on Stack Overflow or other similar sites. Everywhere there is someone who asks a broad question or too specific, or in general without necessary information for someone to be able to help. I think the best thing for you or someone to look at those type of questions is to position yourself on the other side. How would you expect for your problem or case to be explained for you to be able to answer or give your opinion? Or even the information needed for you to be able to investigate or explore yourself? You need to check those type of things before posting a question online. Ask about the problem at hand, not the solution itself. A lot of learners ask exactly how to approach a given task or assignment in this curriculum, such as the below. How do I complete step 5 of the rock paper scissors assignment? Keep in mind that you're actually supposed to figure out how to solve the assignments yourself, and figuring out an approach is essential to your learning journey. A much better question might look like this. Hey, I'm trying to return a string that displays the winner in rock paper scissors, but I'm getting a syntax error on line 12. How can I fix this? Here's my code. In sharing your attempt, people know what you've tried and won't suggest things that might not have worked out for you. It also allows them to debug your current iteration of code, rather than sending you down a path that has you start all over again when you might be very close to a solution. That's a way for you to develop your learning and not just use copy and paste code without understanding what it does. That's even more important when you're a beginner and your absolutely focus should be the learning itself. Now, if you're completely stuck with where to start, it's completely fine to let people know that you're stuck. Asking where you can start and what you can research to get on the right track empowers you to be able to resolve issues largely on your own in the future, and might even empower you to help others with the same issue later on. It is also recommended that you share your pseudocode so people can nudge you in the right direction or correct any misunderstandings you may have. Don't take asking for more context to heart. People who volunteer in coding communities are here to help. But a question you may feel is coherent and obvious probably isn't if you are being asked for more context. While something may seem obvious to a beginner, it's sometimes nowhere near obvious to an expert. An expert knows about many more situations that could cause an issue someone is experiencing, and would want to refrain from sending a learner down the wrong path. People take time out of their day to help, so make it as easy as possible for them to help you. There's probably a good reason why they need more information, so trust their judgment and experience when they ask. Many people who help in coding chats are unpaid volunteers, and are in no way obligated to answer your query. But because they truly do want to help you, they will ask for more information when needed. That's why I said before to try to get in the other people positions, and understand how would you reflect or reach to your question or explanation of the problem, Make sure it's clear. So, let's go to the assignments part. 1. Don't ask to ask, just ask. Demonstrates the importance of just asking your question and not asking to ask your question. That seems confusing. Let's see what it is about. Don't ask to ask, just ask. Every now and then, in online chat rooms I hang around in, someone pops in and says something in the lines of, "Any Java experts around?" This is bad form, for several reasons. What the person is actually asking here is, "Any Java experts around who are willing to commit into looking into my problem, whatever that may turn out to be, even if it's not actually related to Java or if someone who doesn't know anything about Java could actually answer my question." Okay, that's funny. There are plenty of reasons why people who do have the knowledge would not admit to it. By asking, you're asking for more than what you think you're asking. You're asking people to take responsibility. You're questioning people's confidence in their abilities. You're also unnecessarily walling other people out. I often answer questions related to languages or libraries I have never used, because the answers are, in a programmer kind of way, common sense. Alternatively, it can be seen as, I have a question about Java, but I'm too lazy to actually formalize it in words unless there's someone on the channel who might be able to answer it. Which is just lazy. If you're not willing to do the work to solve your problem, why should we? The solution is not to ask, but just to ask. Someone who is idling on the channel and only every now and then glances what's going on is unlikely to answer to your asking to ask you question, but your actual problem description may pique their interest and get them to answer. So, to summarize, don't ask any Java experts around, but rather ask how do I do problem, with Java and other relevant info. Interesting, and it makes totally sense too. So, that's the first assignment. Let's see the next one. 2. Read about the XY problem, which is a common pitfall both new and experienced programmers fall into when asking questions. What is it? The XY problem is asking about your attempted solution rather than your actual problem. This leads to enormous amounts of wasted time and energy, both on the part of people asking for help and on the part of those providing help. A user wants to do X. The user doesn't know how to do X, but thinks they can fumble their way to a solution if they can just manage to do Y. The user doesn't know how to do Y either. The user asks for help with Y. The others try to help user with Y, but are confused because Y seems like a strange problem to want to solve. After much interaction and wasted time, it finally becomes clear that the user really wants help with X, and that Y wasn't even a suitable solution for X. The problem occurs when people get stuck on what they believe is the solution and are unable to step back and explain the issue in full. Okay, this is interesting and at the same time, I think, very tricky. 'Cause sometimes we try more than one type of possible solution to a problem we are trying, and if we see it doesn't work, we can try other possible solution and keep trying, that's okay. The thing is when making a question about the problem to try to get some help, you want to describe the problem you want to solve, and not the current solution you are trying to set up. If that's the easiest or most straightforward solution, people will explain it anyway, so you shouldn't be locked in on the current possible solution you are aiming for if you want to solve your problem. The focus should be the problem, and if you tried some things you can add that is like, I tried this, and still couldn't make it work, that way the problem is explained and your whole situation too. What to do about it? Always include information about a broader picture along with any attempted solution. If someone asks for more information, do provide details. If there are other solutions you've already ruled out, share why you've ruled them out. This gives more information about your requirements. Remember that if your diagnostic theories were accurate, you wouldn't be asking for help, right? Let's go to the examples part. Example 1. Noob doesn't actually want the last 3 characters in a file name, he wants the file extensions, so why ask for the last 3 characters? Bob. How can I echo the last 3 characters in a file name? Feline. If they're in a variable, echo foo, -3. Why 3 characters? What do you really want? Do you want the extension? Bob. Yes. Feline. There's no guarantee that every file name will have a 3-letter extension, so blindly grabbing 3 characters does not solve the problem. So, echo foo ##*. So, that's an example that hopefully could show a picture of what is the XY problem. Let's go to the example 2. If Angela had just started by explaining she wants to prevent others from detecting her OS, this could have been a much shorter and more productive discussion. Angela. This map command returns some lines starting with OS. How to change it? Obama. Look in the source code for map, find how it figures out the Linux part, then rewrite your TCP/IP stack to not operate in a way map can detect. Angela: yeah, but I don't know about Linux System API at all. Obama: well, MAP's fingerprint is based on the way the TCP/IP stack works. There's no real way except to rewrite the appropriate parts of said stack. Angela: I really need to avoid these messages. Can iptables do this work? Obama: well, don't use OS detection or version scanning. Angela: I want to prevent others from knowing the type of my OS. So what should be in the start of the conversation is at the end. Like, Angela should have started with I want to prevent others from knowing the type of my OS. How do I achieve that in and add whatever situation that she would need that to work with, for example. So, that's another type of the XY problem. Let's see the next assignment. 3. Read and bookmark our community guide, How to Ask Technical Questions. It is a great reference to refer to whenever you find yourself needing to ask for help, and you might find yourself solving your own problem as you think about the points listed in the article. Okay, let's see that. How to ask technical questions. It is a common misconception to keep your questions short and concise so that you do not waste anyone's time. However, there is usually a lot more to your question than you realize. When technical questions are missing key details, it is almost impossible to provide accurate answers. Therefore, we expect everyone to put forth effort into asking detailed questions that contain all of the relevant information. Everyone in our Discord community is a volunteer, so you want to make it as easy as possible for others to help you. We expect everyone to learn how to ask detailed questions, which will equip you to ask better questions in, for example, our Discord, on Stack Overflow, and in your future workplace. Before asking a question, do your own research. Before asking a question, you should always do your own research. Use your favorite search engine, read forums like Stack Overflow, and use Discord's search feature in our server. If your search results are not helpful, adjust your search terms to find more beneficial results. To be honest, I don't think I ever really posted a question online. I usually find everything I need on Stack Overflow, or Google, or even in the official documentation of the language, framework, library, etc. that I'm using and trying to troubleshoot. So it's good to be assured of researching as the first step. Help yourself. For many problems that you run into, you are capable of figuring out how to solve them. You are just missing the experience to know what to do or where to look. Read our practical tips on how to help yourself before asking others. Over time, you will begin to incorporate these tips into your development workflow. Pick the most relevant help channel. We have specific channels for every section in our curriculum, so please find the most relevant help channel to ask your question, like #GitHelp, #HTML CSS help, #JavaScript help, #Ruby help, etc. When in doubt, you can ask curriculum-related questions in #Odin General, but it can get really busy in that channel, so posts get buried quickly. Prepare your question. Asking detailed technical questions will take time to prepare all of the relevant information. This investment of time will make it easier for others to help you and will also help you understand your problem even better. 1. Provide a link to the lesson/project in the curriculum. This is important because it provides the surrounding context to your question. In addition, knowing where you are in the curriculum will show your current knowledge and skill level. 2. Provide code, pseudocode, or other relevant information. When asking a question, it is essential to provide your code, error message, terminal command, server output, etc. If you have more than a few lines to share, you should use an external service. CodePen for basic HTML/CSS/JavaScript. Replit for JavaScript/Ruby. Code Sandbox for Webpack/React. Pastebin for error messages or server output. If you have a question before you have written any code, you should provide your pseudocode. If you need help writing pseudocode, you should read through our problem-solving lesson with your specific issue in mind. Sometimes it might make sense to share a link to your GitHub repository. Be sure to make it as easy as possible for others to help you by providing detailed information, file names, function/method names, line numbers, etc. When you need to share an image of your terminal window or computer screen, share a screenshot using a screenshot tool on your computer. If you are not familiar with this tool, you should research it using your favorite search engine. Do not share a photo of your computer screen. Pictures of computer screens are low-quality images that are difficult for others to read. Do not share files that require a user to download them. It is impossible to tell whether a file contains malware or has some other malicious intent. Therefore, You should never share a file that requires users to download and open it on their own device.
3. Explain the problem.
Explain the problem that you are having and include any steps needed to reproduce the problem. In addition, you should also explain what part of the project you are trying to solve. This is important so others will know if the direction you are going will solve that part of the project, or if it would be better to steer you in a different direction. This is commonly referred to as the XY problem, which is a common pitfall for programmers as they learn how to ask detailed questions. 4. Describe what you are expecting. With as much detail as possible, describe what you are expecting to happen and why you are expecting this to happen. 5. Summarize what you have tried. Summarize your theory of what is happening, what you investigated, and the results you had after implementing any possible solutions. Explain any findings that you discovered while you were debugging, especially if you were able to pinpoint where the unusual behavior started happening. After posting your question. After you have prepared your question and posted it, there are a few more things that you need to keep in mind. Help may look different than expected. Most of the time, your question will not just be provided with an answer. Instead, you will have a back-and-forth conversation leading you to your own answer, a lesson to review, a resource explaining something in more detail, etc. If this approach is different than you expect, you should read How to Help Others Solve Coding Problems. Stay online and wait patiently. Stay online after asking a question. Since answers are not typically straightforward, you should be prepared to stick around and discuss it with those trying to help. Wait patiently for a response. Even though our community is fairly active, not all questions will be answered right away. While you are waiting, make sure that you have provided a detailed question and continue troubleshooting. It is recommended to edit your post with the results of things you have tried. If your post gets buried, you may repost your question, otherwise, you may direct people to your question in a more active channel. Be patient and willing to provide more details. If you ask a question without providing enough details, you will be asked to provide all the relevant information. We occasionally see people taking offense or being impatient when asked to provide more information. Be assured that these questions are part of the process to avoid the frustration of helping someone with an incomplete picture. Your question may seem obvious to you, but it is often not obvious to others. Avoid asking follow-up questions. Once your initial question is answered, resist the urge to immediately ask follow-up questions. Instead, you should begin this process over again by doing your own research. We realize that you mean well, but it is somewhat inconsiderate to expect the same person to continue helping you without making an effort on your own to understand it first. This is a form of hand-holding that our community discourages. And I think this is something good in the long term, so you don't become dependent of someone. This should encourage you to search and try to find the answer by yourself first. We discourage low-effort questions and hand-holding. Our curriculum and Discord community highly value helping you stand on your own 2 feet without holding your hand. Adjusting to this approach can be difficult because it is different from the majority of your educational experiences. If you develop a pattern of asking low-effort questions, one of our moderators will privately address this with you because these types of questions cause a drain on our community of volunteers. But, again, this is good in the long term because you will develop and learn things you wouldn't if you just had someone always handing you the right and perfect solution for every little thing.
Conclusion.
One of the biggest benefits of taking the time to write a very detailed question is that you will occasionally solve your own problem. This is one of the best outcomes to have. You should celebrate this achievement and consider documenting the problem and solution in the README MD of the project that you are working on. It is highly recommended to review these tips each time you ask a question, at least until it is second nature to always provide this level of detail. If you'd like to read more about providing surrounding context, you should read Stack Overflow's Standards or one of our favorite articles, How to Be Great at Asking Coding Questions, by Gordon Zhu. So, just to review. The tips are: always provide your code and the surrounding context, ask about the problem at hand, not the solution itself, and don't take asking for more context to heart. Then before asking a question you should do your own research, help yourself, and pick the most relevant help channel. When preparing the question, provide a link to the lesson/project in the curriculum, provide code, pseudocode, or other relevant information, explain the problem, describe what you are expecting, summarize what you have tried. After posting the question, you should take these things in mind. Help may look different than expected. Stay online and wait patiently. Be patient and willing to provide more details. Avoid asking follow-up questions and avoid low-effort questions and hand-holding.
Now, let's go to the knowledge check.
This section contains questions for you to check your understanding of this lesson on your own. If you're having trouble answering a question, click it and review the material it links to. Describe the XY problem. The XY problem is asking about your attempted solution rather than your actual problem. This leads to a lot of wasted time and energy, both on the side of people asking for help and of those providing help. Name the 5 things your question should include. Like we already review, the things we need to account for on preparing the question are: to provide a link to the lesson or project in the curriculum, provide code, pseudocode, or other relevant information, explain the problem, describe what you are expecting, and summarize what you have tried. So, that's it for this lesson episode. We can now mark this lesson as complete. See you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.